Have you ever had this feeling of like your ball sack, like your testicles just go above your dick, like the ball sack just becomes empty, and then you have to push your testicles down to the ball sack?
Who the hell starts a conversation like that? I just sat down.
Maybe you sat down weird and that happened. You know?
I've had like I don't know about that. I've had like one thing where like I've slept. I arrived home late one night, so I slept with like my jeans on, and then like during the night, I like you know you do that thing where like the blanket's on top of you,
Yeah,
but with the blanket with the blanket on, it's too warm. With the blanket off, it's too cold. So you
yeah,
put one leg out,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I stuck one leg out, for insulation, and like as I like moved, because of my jeans, one of my one of my balls just ascended up.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It's
Oh,
so
okay, yeah,
weird,
yeah, yeah.
isn't it?
It's painful.
Y-
It's very, very painful.
Not very painful, at least not for me. I don't know
Well, I don't know how high mine went then.
Fucking testing your
That's,
pancreas.
I had to like push it down. Wait, real quick, are we actually recording?
Yeah, it is.
Very good. Welcome back, everyone.
It's only been 4 months.
It's as if in full. Oh shit.
We're gonna start
I'm
every single
I'm
episode.
I'm fairly certain I like ended the last recording as well with me going like, so me and me and you were gonna discuss what our posting schedule's gonna be. Looks like we settled on 4 months to a year.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just a small window. A lot of possible mistakes.
Um, so before like we started this, just for the listeners, Jao and we were having like a pre-podcast, right? And I asked him to stop just because I wanted to share this one thing. So I watched this video, like a really old video, 2002, I think, right? And it's this these two dudes sitting behind like a green screen of like nature, and it's like, behold, the atheist's worst nightmare, and they pull out a banana, right? And then they were like, I don't know if they knew what they were doing, right? But like they were like behold, it's like semicircular shape, and look how like it's got like a handle that I can peel off, right? Can you explain this, atheist? And then notice how the tip is like positioned perfectly for my mouth, and as I open it, just it perfectly follows my throat, and I'm like, what the hell is this, right?
Nature,
And
that's what it is.
it is. It's God's create. It's the banana was made in God's image, and like I thought I was convinced, fully convinced that it's some sort of gay porno, like a start to one,
Oh, yeah.
right? Yeah,
Quite
yeah.
thorough.
It's very, it's rather gay, isn't it? No, so like I like backtracked on it, right?
Yeah.
Not, it's from some Christian Methodist church where they were trying to like inspire more kids to follow God,
Yeah.
right? And say what you want about them, they're really good with the marketing tactics. Because the thing is, like, as dumb as that is, there's probably some kids that were like, "Yeah, so true,
Maybe.
so true."
And
Because okay, so I'll say another one. The other day was yesterday. I was on my way to London because I'm a
yeah.
businessman. I travel,
Obviously.
right? Yeah, yeah. And in front of me there was a bus, and on the back of the bus there was like a thing that said, uh,
Vroom vroom.
how to let Jesus into your life, the ABC,
Wait, really?
right? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
In
And it's like,
London?
this is yeah. It was just on the route to it was on the route to London, and it was like,
That's weird. Because
no, it's
In England, they tend to not be very religion
no,
specific.
no, 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 no. It's so here's the interesting thing.
Okay.
England England is quoted as being a Christian state, right? But
Okay.
the thing is like the atheist population is so high. A lot of the times when because they only can they can only quote this from like statistics. So if like the majority say, okay, we're now like we're Christian, so therefore like the country is like, okay, we're a Christian state,
Yeah.
right? But there's no like uh religious law that we have to follow,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So even So I have a theory that even if like whenever they carry out these statistics saying like, oh, would you say that you're a Christian, a lot of people just say yeah, even though they don't
Oh,
go to church,
yeah,
they don't
me.
believe anything,
Cause like
right?
my parents are Christian. I'd say I'm Christian, but I don't believe in anything.
Yeah. So there's a term. I think it's like you can say you're culturally religious, which means you can call you can. So there are a couple of atheists I know that would say that they're culturally Christian, which means they don't believe in the God, right?
Yeah.
But like they think there are some good moral values you can take from it. But more importantly, they enjoy like the festivities that come with it. So they enjoy Christmas, they enjoy
Yeah, yeah,
Easter,
yeah,
and they
yeah.
celebrate that. But it's
Okay.
just without the tagline of God next to it. But anyway, so in front of me was this bus, which
You
was
should
like
you should give me
yeah.
money. I think I'm culturally Jewish.
Jews are like a whole different thing. But anyway, so in front of me there was this bus, and on the back of the bus was like the ABCs of Christ, and like A, accept that you're a sinner and let Jesus into your life, and it was like B, uh, beware that he is walking alongside you when you accept him, and then C, and then yeah, and then C is the biggest marketing move. So B, beware that he's walking beside you, and then C, call now, and it's like the church's number.
Fucking Jesus ghosts around you and shit. God damn.
But
Who you
like the
gonna
thing is like
call? The church.
the I saw the new Ghostbusters movie
Did
recently.
you? Oh,
Yeah,
I
it's
didn't watch the
really
first
good.
one.
It's
What?
really
The
good.
one with women or the second? I
The,
don't
the
know.
the the second remake, the one that like stayed true to like the
Oh.
storyline.
Oh, okay.
I think the people were saying that like the one with the all female cast was bad because people didn't like the fact that it was all female. It's not. If you actually watch the thing,
Yeah.
it's it's really the people who were really upset about it. I think were actual hardcore Ghostbusters fans
Oh, yeah,
because
yeah. Like,
they really disrespected the original.
oh,
Like
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, because like
Pretty
they
bad.
even yeah they bought like one scene. Spoiler, I don't know if you haven't seen it, but like in
No.
one scene in particular, they brought in Bill Murray, who played one of the main characters in the original, and they kill him off in like the first 15 minutes. Like that's either a power move or like you're just looking to rile up fans,
You know,
right?
that's the only thing women are lacking right now. Bigger dicks
Well,
than men.
I thought you meant Ghostbusters, like actual Ghostbusters. But yeah, no, it was bizarre because it like it yeah I think like I don't even think because a lot of the fans as well, I'm fairly certain the Ghostbusters pop culture has a huge female following.
Yeah,
So if you're going to sit there and tell me that an all-female cast of like a classic series is being hated on only by men,
yeah.
I find it hard to believe.
I think the hate wasn't like the majority either though.
Yeah,
It's kind of the same that happens to a lot of things. It's not the majority that's hating on it or the majority that likes it. It's more like a very vocal small amount of people.
true, true. I think like I think that's the case for our next topic, which is
Okay.
K-pop.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think I think that lines up really well. I think like the thing is like I don't think outside of Korea or like Taiwan or even Malaysia, K-pop's following in like European well Western countries isn't that large, but the following it does have is huge, like very vocal.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. The thing I wanted to talk about actually was like this
yeah.
this article, right? Where a girl came out from a K-pop training team thing,
Camp.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. She was trying to get into a K-pop like band group whatever.
Yeah.
Uh yeah, and there were like there's like teams separated teams, right? Where team A is a really small amount of people, which is the people that are more likely to become stars, and then you have like 200 people on team B who's sleeping on the floor, and like the casters are just racist, homophobic, and they demand plastic surgery on teenagers, like 16-year-olds, 15-year-olds, and shit like that. And they treat them so fucking bad. They don't give them food and shit like that because they have to be
Yeah.
perfect.
So I remember seeing like a 15-minute like snippet documentary of something similar to this, and it was like the original notion I had with like K-pop was it's a pretty clever system. It's an industry. You've basically industrialized talent in a sense,
Yeah.
right? You
Mm,
show up, you sign up, right?
yeah.
And they'll be like, yeah, sure, we'll put you through this camp, and if we like what we see, you get to go through it. But then like the documentary was saying like, especially so it was from the perspective of like a male K-pop member,
Yeah.
and he was saying like, uh the salary that we made was so our sales would then get divided into large amounts with like the production team, the managers, and stuff like that. And then we would get like a tiny lump sum, and it would be divided with like amongst like the 15 members,
Yeah.
right? And considering like South Korea, Japan are like two of the most expensive places to live in Asia, I think. I think the
Yeah.
only place that beats it is like Singapore, right?
Yeah.
And so if you're like so you get this idea that like okay, so they're a successful group, but like now you have a very small amount of income coming in for like the 15 members, and it's divided amongst them, right? That drops significantly between
Yeah.
each member, right? So then that like ties up to like how most of them have to sleep on the floor. Some of them don't eat, not because they can't, but not because they're not allowed to, but because they just physically can't afford it, right?
Yeah, nah, there's a lot. There's another thing though. Apparently, like the training that they go through is really expensive, and if they
Yeah,
quit, they're indebted for life. But
yeah, yeah,
if
yeah,
they
yeah.
stay, it's basically quote unquote free because it's gonna make money for the company that's casting them.
Yeah, and then as for like the plastic surgery, yeah, there's a huge. It's a booming business now in like Korea, South
Yeah,
Korea.
but it's
North Korea has
teenagers
like
though.
North
Most
Korea
of
has
the
like a whole
dudes.
other set of
Yeah,
issues.
yeah.
Yeah.
Plastic surgery, same haircuts, the same thing.
Food shortages, starvation.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much the same.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
just
yeah.
K-pop, but less free.
It's K-pop, but there's only one band, and he's always the most popular, right? But no, no, no. But like,
Can't
yeah, no.
imagine Kim Jong singing though. That'd be
Uh,
sick.
the worst part is people have to like laugh and clap and celebrate it and make it believable. Otherwise, they do get shot.
But you
Like,
don't have to make it believable when it's true.
you
You do, do you
know,
believe?
like
Yeah,
they actually think like North Koreans are like forced to believe that like the whole Kim legacy,
yeah,
each of the members don't poop or pee because it's
yeah,
considered like really what's the word uncultured, right? And they believe that like they're descendants of like unicorns and shit. Like I wish I was making this up.
Oh,
Like
that's so cool.
they actually revere them as gods, basically.
That's so cool. Apparently, some YouTuber made a trip to North Korea, and he said it was really cool. He was really tense the whole time, and he had to
Yeah.
follow weird traditions that he wasn't used to. But he said it was really cool and it's really pretty. So I'm like, should I?
The thing is, like, there's only one airline that like takes you to North Korea, and that's Korean Air, right?
Yeah,
And
still probably better than Ryanair, so it's fine.
did you hear that? Like, so North Korea doesn't like being referred to as North Korea. They either like to be called True Korea, so like the original Korea,
Mhm.
or the DPRK, the Democratic People's Republic of
Oh wow.
Korea or something. Yeah.
Okay.
Um. So yeah, no, no. I've seen like a lot of They don't. They allow journalists, but they only take you through like set routes. You're not allowed to like veer off into like
Yeah, yeah,
different
yeah,
areas, right?
yeah.
And we found out what happened when someone does veer off. There was a kid, an American kid who, and it garnered like a lot of attention.
Yeah.
His college took like a trip to North Korea. I don't know why, right?
Fucking sick, man.
They took them to North. Why don't you take them to Afghanistan during the rule of Al Qaeda? Then just we're here to learn about different cultures. Just bullets flying around,
Ah,
right?
so that's how they die.
Yeah, but no, they took him to North Korea, and I don't know, like there's a the catalyst for this. There's like different stories to it. One is that he ripped off a picture of Kim Jong Un, like a poster of it, that was like plastered onto a wall, right? He ripped it off, and like the North Koreans were saying, like I think the North Koreans were saying like he was doing it in protest,
Yeah.
right? So it looks like you're showing up to a a country that's ruled by a dictatorship, and you rip off the poster of their leader that they think is
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
god, right? So big problem. But then, but then the other side doesn't make it sound any better. The other side was saying he was ripping it down so he could take it with him,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
right? But let's assume like okay, it's a souvenir, right? You
Did he
couldn't just get
did
you
he
couldn't get
rip
one from the store,
did he
like
take it down? Did he take it down like actually ripping off the wall or taking the
you,
tack off it from the back and shit like
no, no,
that?
no, 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 no. He like ripped it off the wall,
I don't
right?
think
Because
so.
it
I
was
think
in
it's a souvenir.
no, no, but like it's in like yeah, it's in a public space, right?
Yeah.
And then what ended up happening was like he so the North Korean police detained him, right?
Yeah.
And where shit kind of hit the fan was so no one knows except like the North Koreans and this guy what happened there, but when they were detaining him, when his parents tried to speak to him, he was in like a vegetative state, so just non-responsive,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And the North Koreans were saying like, oh, when they gave him food or something, there was some sort of bug or like there was something contaminated in it, and that's like what's caused him to be like this, right? But then when they ran like
Yeah.
medical
Excuses.
tests, medical tests on him, they found that he's suffered like traumas and aneurysms in his head from that you'd get from like getting beaten up, I suppose,
That's
right?
kind of cool.
And then, okay, and then and then what ended up happening was like when his parents finally got him into the US, right? And like North Korea finally like, all right, fine, like pay this much, we'll let him go. When the parents put when like the US paid that much and he arrived, he died
So,
because of his injuries. Yeah, North Korea is messed up. But going back to K-pop, I see that you've put down racism. It's interesting that you mentioned this. So there was a K-pop band or group called EXO, right?
yeah.
EXO, and there was I think like 24 members in it, right?
Yeah.
And they divided it into EXO-K and EXO-C. So EXO-K is EXO Korea and EXO-C is EXO China,
Yeah.
right? So EXO-C had like I think it was like 8 Chinese nationals to like 4 Korean nationals, and XOK had 8 Korean nationals to 4 Chinese nationals, right? And the way that it would work is you have two separate bands. They would appeal to like both Korea and China, right? But as like the years went on, the band started getting smaller and smaller until there's only one EXO. And I thought like, oh, like that's still the elimination process. It doesn't matter that they're already a band; they're still going through the camp,
Yeah.
right? But it turns out like the majority of the Chinese that left, it was all Chinese that left. Uh,
That's racist.
they were yeah, they suffered a lot of racism by the hands of like their Korean managers.
Yeah, I believe that actually, because
Yeah,
in the
yeah, yeah,
article I was talking about, yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's bizarre. But have you heard? Have you seen that? Like, there's a group, two groups, right, called Z Boys and Z Girls, or Z Boys and Z Girls, right? And what they're doing is they do like K-pop style music, right? But they have members from every Asian country except Korea.
Yeah.
So there's like one from the Philippines, one from like China, one from I was gonna say Mongolia. No. one from like Malaysia, one from Indonesia and stuff like that. One from India, right?
Yeah.
And like I listened to some of their they sing all their K-pop songs are in English, by the way. So it's like a weird mix, right? And they
Like
sing
proper
it
English.
yeah, 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 proper English, right?
Oh, that's weird.
There's no like mix like you'd find in like tradition. There's no like suge damyeon, young love, right? There's no
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah. Let's
there's no
fighting love.
love, yeah, yeah. Tomodachi na protect my balls. But yeah, no, there's none of that. It's all in English, yeah. And
Yeah.
like I like followed like every single time I'd remember them, I'd like they're not dead, but like the odd chance when I remember them, I'd like look up and like after 3 months, they just stopped. They just didn't get any more traction. because
Yeah.
the Korean audience felt like they were trying to like pirate what they've like capitalized on. I
Shit. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know. And like I remember like they're good. Like the people that are performing, they're good, right?
Hmm.
I think I don't know if I'm gonna get a lot of heat for this. I think that women have a tendency of being naturally good at dancing than guys, right?
More
Because
singing, I
I
suppose.
watched well no because I was watching like a music video from like the Z girls and then a music video from the Z boys, and like you know how like K-pop they give their band members like, oh, so this person is like the face of the group, this person is the
Oh
leader of the
yeah,
group,
definitely. Yeah.
yeah, and then like there's always like two like main dancer and lead dancer, right?
Hmm.
So with the Z girls, there was like two people who had the title of dancers, but if you see all of them dancing, you'd think that they're all just dancers,
They're all
right?
the same. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. If you look at the Z boys, you can tell which one's the dancer and which one
But
is just
I guess it depends on the training. It's kind of the same thing with like vocal teachers and shit like that, where they
yeah. But you'd
teach you to
think
use your
that like if
vocals.
it's you think though that if it's two different groups but all underneath the same company,
Yeah.
you'd expect like the same caliber from both sides. You know, like you'd expect like the same level of training from both sides. Would you not?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Fair. That's fair
Yeah,
enough.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Unless they
So
have some weird like girls cannot be trained by a woman or a man, so they have to be trained by this kind of specific person or
maybe,
something like that,
maybe
specific
actually,
gender.
yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
it could be like that because they're very traditional in
yeah.
terms of like genders and stuff, right?
I don't think people realize like how what's the word? How backwards the actual K-pop like
Oh yeah,
industry
yeah.
is. Yeah, yeah,
I also heard that they can't date or at least make it public that they're dating or something like that because they're meant to
yeah,
be ideal partners that people fantasize about,
yeah, yeah,
and that's
yeah.
so strange to me because they start so young.
It's a brilliant business move, though.
It is for for business it is,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah. It's a brilliant business move. Like you
it's
can't, you,
weird.
you, you can't really like fault it.
Yeah, it's so weird though.
And it's weird as well because like I saw one where it's like two popular members of two different K-pop groups meet, and they already met each other through the camp,
Yeah,
right? Through the
yeah.
training camp. And the way they talk about the training camp, they're so like, yeah, we practiced a lot, and like you can see the like all the humanity, like all the like all like the trauma that they've gone through, right?
Vietnam flashbacks.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Like the falling of the Hindenburg, and it's just like so. Yeah, no, I remember watching that. But the next thing that you wanted to talk about was hitting on girls. I read that as hitting girls in the
Uh,
comment section.
well, I mean, sometimes it must be done.
What do
Anyway,
you mean by this?
so there's like a lot of it's typically the Indians that do this, or at least it's the meme that Indians do this. Go on comment sections and
Yeah.
go like, "Oh, show pop, show
Yeah,
fucking
yeah, yeah, yeah.
take
Toby Benjamin,
panties,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
smell pooper, send me."
Vagana, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, has it ever worked for anyone hitting on a girl? Like, even if it's an attractive guy going on a comment section and being like, "Yo, you're so hot, let's fucking bang, dude." And the girl's like, "Yeah, fuck yeah, let's do this." I don't think that's ever happened.
I don't think so either. I think like okay, so here's the thing.
Okay.
Um, it depends. I feel on the platform. YouTube a lot of the times. I think like on YouTube as well. Like when people who when like attractive content creators are starting, they'll kind of engage with those comments. They'll be like, "Oh, you're so sweet," or something like that, right?
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
"Thank you" and stuff,
but that's not
right?
working out for a
No,
relationship.
no,
That's what I
no,
mean.
no, no, no. It's not. It's not. It's not. But what's really interesting is if you go on Reddit,
Yeah.
right? There's a lot of girls that like post stuff on there, right?
Okay.
Especially on the NSFW. If you see a page marked NSFW, just go on there and just take a look at the
I
comments.
have, trust me.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
And most of
And
the times it's just like, oh, this is so hot, you should send more. It's
no,
like,
no,
all
no,
right.
no. But like they engage on that. They're like, yeah, we'll do, keep you posted and stuff like that, right?
Right, okay, yeah.
It's very unlikely that it works, but the ones that do work either end really well
Or really badly.
or horribly. Yeah,
Yeah.
really, really horribly.
Just an
There was
assassin.
there was. It's weird though, like how like the people commenting, be it guy or girl, right? How like invested they get onto like this idea of like, oh, they're gonna respond, they're gonna notice me someday,
Yeah, yeah.
like, yeah. Like there was a case where like there was some YouTube content creator. She's attractive. She covered like esports based games, right? And she would make content where she'd like also go to like the equivalent of like gaming Comic Con,
Yeah.
like, yeah, right. And she would like interview creators, she would interview competitive players and stuff like that, right? So unsurprisingly, she garnered like a huge following, yeah. And in that following, there was one dude in particular who kept commenting something like, oh, like, you're so attractive, make more, make more, make more, right? And like when she started her like career like trajectory, you could see like she's like, oh, we'll do, I'll keep you posted. But like she would never engage on the like when he'd say something like, oh, you're so attractive and stuff like that,
Yeah.
right? She'd be like, oh, thanks, stay tuned for like more videos or something like
Thanks,
that,
bro.
right? Yeah, 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 yeah. Right. And what it is like, when it turns out that she ended up dating someone from like, I think, Game Grumps or something, right?
Okay, yeah.
And when this commenter found out about it, he was like, oh, that's typical. Like, why did the nice guys finish last and stuff like that, right?
Oops, Fedora.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Literal,
Yeah,
literal,
yeah,
literal.
yeah.
No, literal
It's
nice
yeah,
guy
yeah,
shit.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
R
and then
slash nice
and
guy.
yeah, yeah, and then it's funny because it then links to Reddit where people found like his profile and he was commenting on like Reddit posts, and the questions he was like asking was psychotic. He made a post saying something like, um,
No joke.
what
No joke. I
what
was gonna say like people that comment on YouTube comments, they're just psychopaths to be honest. Because you
yeah,
either
well.
like the video or you don't like it, and that's just pressing a button. You don't need to comment anything.
I mean, here's me like watching videos, watching videos on like how to do certain routes for my driving exam. just like I'm just like, could you do this route next, psychopath? Just no, no, no. But I get what you mean, because here's the thing: this dude, when he like posted on Reddit, he made this post saying something like, "Hey guys, what should I do? I like this girl, and she's right for me, and we're meant to be together. And like, I sent her like a box of chocolates, and
Oh
and she
god.
said." No, no, he was like, yeah, he was like, I sent her a box of chocolates and like a bouquet of flowers, and she said that I've crossed like the line, and she's putting like a restraining order on me.
How
But
did he find the address anyway? The address.
dude, like it's probably difficult, but it's not impossible,
Ah,
right?
but it's so weird though.
No, no,
Like,
no.
do
It
these people
is,
not
it
think
is,
about
it
that?
is. Yeah, yeah. It's incredibly weird, right?
Yeah.
And I think like Reddit is great because if you want an honest opinion, you just go to Reddit,
Okay.
right?
It's very
And
anonymous, isn't it?
yeah,
From
yeah,
the
yeah,
look
yeah,
of it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
and the people that were commenting, going like, they were like, listen, dude, I think it's very clear that the person's not interested. I think you
Yeah.
should stop before like shit really hits the fan,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And like before things escalate and stuff like that. And his delusion was so large. He commented underneath going like, oh, thanks for your opinion, but I know deep down that she knows that we're meant to be together and stuff like that, right? A- and you watch like you see like these comments on like YouTube. Legit, if you want to see like these kind of weird ass comments that clearly like they don't. You know how like in school and stuff they always tell you like, oh, before you post anything, read it so that it makes sense to you. Yeah, these
Listen,
guys clear.
Jason. I don't like you. I hate you. You're perfect for me.
Yeah, yeah, but no, but like these guys clearly type, and then they're like, and full stop. Whew, imagine if I didn't put that, and then they just press enter. Like they
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
read it,
yeah, yeah.
right? And then they're like, and now we'll wait for her to reply,
That's
right?
ridiculous.
And it's it's terrifying because to delude yourself to the point where you're the main character of this story and the idea that this other person that you're into has a life of their own,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
is so alien to you. That's a terrifying point to reach.
It's weird, man. Those people are so fucking weird. I can't like. This is the most virgin thing I can say, but I can't imagine doing that on DMs.
Yeah,
I can't imagine doing that. Like, it's even harder to imagine doing that publicly on comments or
yeah,
comment
yeah,
sections,
yeah, yeah.
whatever. That's
But
so strange.
the thing is, like, this isn't even a tangent from like the original topic because the thing is, like, it gets so dark, it
Yeah.
gets ridiculously dark, and like I think like with access to the internet, it's just gone. It's basically just made it. It's still dark, just a different shade of dark, right? So like,
Calm down,
so like,
calm down. You might get racist here.
no, I'm just saying, like, I'm just if you there was a dude who, and this is really notorious as well. This entire story, right?
Yeah.
He was a fan of Bjork, the Swedish singer, right?
Okay.
And he was like the epitome of like what Reddit imagines like a neckbeard incel
Oh, yeah,
is,
right.
right? And
Actually,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
And
get.
like during this point in time, like the internet uh wasn't as prevalent in like society,
Yeah.
right? But what ended up happening was like he would like send he hired a private investigator to find out where Bjork's address is, right?
So weird.
Which is a yeah. So there you go. This is the thing as well. Private investigators, and of course, like I'm not saying like private investigate that whole field is shady. It's like a double edged sword. You can use it for good or bad, right?
Yeah.
And but like yeah, he hired a private investigator to find out like where she is, where she lives. He would like send her gifts and stuff, and then like when he found out that she was in a relationship with like another like music creator, he like recorded his like mental decay as he was like to like the last days,
Yeah.
and what he did was like he sent her like a letter bomb for her to
Oh,
open, right?
fuck.
Yeah, yeah,
No
yeah, yeah,
way.
yeah. Right?
What?
No, no, no.
Why though?
No, 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 no. It gets insane, right? He sends her, believe it or not, right? This,
Even
you
more.
know, it gets crazy now, right?
Now it does. Okay.
Yeah, but no, no. He sent her like a letter bomb.
Yeah.
He made like a He made like a bunch of VHS recordings of himself, right? And his whole game plan was
Jesus.
she's gonna open this letter bomb. On that day when she opens her letter bomb, I'll be in my room, right? Like in my house, right?
Yeah.
And I'll kill myself. She'll die from the letter bomb, and we're gonna meet in heaven,
Oh, God. Yeah.
right? Right? And
Ah. But
and
isn't that
like
technically like if he thinks he's going to meet her in heaven, then he believes
yeah,
in a religion as well, which
yeah.
means that killing her would be a sin and wouldn't allow him to go to heaven,
It depends.
supposedly, right?
It depends on the religion, doesn't it?
Is it?
I don't- I think so.
Is there a religion where you can kill people? That sounds
Uh,
awesome, actually.
there's quite a few. There's quite a few, but no. But the thing, so he did, and I think like the bomb did go off, but she survived, right?
Right. Okay.
But his final recordings, I mean, when Live Leak was there, you could see it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But his final recording was like he painted his face completely red, and then on the video you just see him shoot himself in the head and then call it quits from there,
Oh.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Okay.
it's so grim. It's
I
like
can believe that.
yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
weird.
It's so like dark and demented, and like the thing is like like I think like
You can do this.
there are funny there are funny like attempts at flirting on like
Okay.
YouTube
Yeah.
comments, right?
Yeah. Obviously.
Where even I think like where even the poster is aware like he's clearly doing like a gag,
I
right?
reckon so. I reckon so.
Yeah,
Sometimes, and
right.
to be fair, I'm saying that this isn't possible and stuff like that. But technically, I think Drew Gooden found his wife on the
Ye-
comment section of Vine.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was something like that.
Yeah.
By the way, about private investigators, remember the episode where Carl Pilkington went into India and they was doing the arranged marriage thing, and
Yeah.
they had
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
spies. What the
Yeah.
fuck?
Yeah. 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 That's such a common thing, though. That's
It's
terrifying.
so
People,
weird, man.
people don't even realize how terrifying that is, right?
Because
And like
they're hiring spies to see if a guy is good or not for the wife,
another
basically.
another thing they do is they do like a drive-by scouting. So what they do is, let's say like girl is gonna get married to boy, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Parents have already met the boy, yeah,
Okay,
and the boy already knows about the girl's parents, right? Both
okay.
sides' families have already met, right?
And they've
But what they
already
do is
married, basically.
no, yeah, pretty much. Like the only thing that's changing it, the only thing that's going to officiate it is the paperwork,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But what they do is just to make it like even more like official, yeah. Just to make it even more official is that he'll so the organizer will tell the guy, okay, they're gonna do a scouting tomorrow, and what a scouting basically is the guy is aware of it, the girl and her mother is aware of it. The guy has to go to some like random road, right, and kind of like lean or
Wait,
like
they're
look.
aware of it, all of them.
Yeah. Okay, this is so weird, right? He has to go to like some random public area, right, and he has
Okay.
to like lean or strike his best model pose, all right, and the girl and her mother will like drive really slowly, right? she'll she'll they'll drive really slowly past him, and they'll like just stop for a bit and like look at him from a distance and be like, yeah, okay, or no, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. So but here's they've already met at this point, but they're still doing this. So like even my fear is like 25, let's say you get accepted, you get married to the girl. 25 years down the line, you've got like three kids, right? And like one's already in uni, one's finished uni, one's starting uni, and like one's like in higher education.
Yeah.
And then like the mother-in-law breaks down the door and she's like, "You're not good for my daughter. I was scouting you." And like like
Now that we're talking about private investigators and creepy shit like this, right?
yeah.
I want to mention like, so I watch a lot of retrospective commentary, documentary YouTube channels and shit like that. Videos that are like
Yeah.
1 hour, 8 hours long, 9 hours actually happen. There's like a
There's one that's
fucking
like 8 and 9 hours long.
there. Yeah. Pyrocynical just made a fucking series review. I think it was called Utopia, British. It's literally an 8 hour video. I'm halfway through it. I'm very proud of myself. Yeah, no, there's even like Mort from Madagascar.
Yeah,
There's a series of videos. I think it's like 30 hours total
yeah.
about how Mort is basically the devil or something like that.
Is
That's
it?
the theory
Yeah,
behind it.
is it? Yeah. I get it. It's like one of those. It's like game theory on steroids,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
this that I'm talking about though is like, for example, I was watching a commentary video slash documentary, whatever, about Jenna Marbles, right?
Mhm.
And the guy was talking about when Jenna Marbles was in high school or school or whatever, and he was like, but Jenna Marbles did had a lot of trouble reading this DVD because she didn't have a DVD reader on her laptop. I'm like,
How does he know that?
why do you know that? How? When? How? What? He
Who
just
hired you?
just fucking 20-year-old stalking some random 12-year-old girl. Is like, yeah, she's gonna be famous. He's just stalking her whole life until she's an adult and famous. And he's like, yeah, I know everything about you. Here's a documentary video of how you of the rise and fall of Janet Marbles.
That's so. When I saw like this on the list, the retrospective slash
Yeah,
commentary channels,
yeah.
I thought you were talking about like I don't know shit like Shane Dawson's done, like someone actually like
Oh,
deplorable and has like a track record,
no,
you
no,
know?
no. But even those, they're like, oh, Shane Dawson started off doing this, and it's like, why do you know his first job and where it was and when it
Do you
was, the
do you
exact
know do you
time?
know do you know who does all of this but masks it really well? Like we don't even realize how weird it is.
What?
The dude from First We Feast, the chicken wing guy,
Oh
the bald
yeah,
dude.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. He
because
has every
there's a
time, every
literal
episode.
there's a literal compilation of like oh celebrities getting surprised by Sean's questions, and like one person's like that's weird. How do you have we met before? Like
Yeah,
how do you
yeah,
know? He's like no, it's my first time. Like
yeah. It's fucking weird. Every single
Scott
episode of
Kramer
First
did
We
such a
Feed.
good. Yeah, Scott Kramer did like a really good parody of it where he was just like,
I think
where
I
he was
watched
just
it.
like, yeah, yeah, he was like, you once said that when you were 12, you ran with scissors and wound up like cutting the inside of your thigh. What? How did that change you
What
and
the
made you
frick,
like the man
dude?
you are today? Yeah,
What the frick, dude? How you know?
yeah, yeah. Yeah. So either it's either really good research, really good research,
How good can
or
it be though? Like,
yeah, you
did they
have to like
go? Did they
you
go on
have to
like the
look at like
Wayback Machine or something and watch like 40
all
hours of videos?
I don't even think it's that. I think this is like jumping to MySpace level basically. You find like the old
Oh
MySpace account
fuck, yeah, okay.
and then look from there,
Oh, that's
make
so weird
assumptions.
though. That's so strange. Because
Yeah.
people don't take this as stalking, but it kind of is though.
It technically is.
Investigation.
I, the thing is like,
That's weird.
and I know what you mean as well, because like there's a difference between like, again, Shane Dawson, right? A lot of the stuff people brought up, he's put it on YouTube. He's got like the record, like he's put it all on YouTube before. He's basically published himself doing crimes or really weird stuff,
Yeah.
right? So that's not really digging in, but it's just something like, it's something like, oh, like what is it? Drew Gooden used to be left-handed, but then one day his mother dropped him on his head when he was 2, and now he's right-handed. Like, how do you find out stuff like this?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Who you talking to? His
I
mom
don't know. I
died
don't know.
2 days later after that. How do you know this then? What the fuck?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, if it is true, Drew, comment down below. But like, but no, it's ridiculously weird. And like the thing is, like, they're not even getting paid for this.
Well, I mean,
Okay,
adverts.
okay, no, it's true. But like, all of this starts off like a passion project, right? So if
I
you,
hope so.
yeah,
Uh,
I'm being optimistic here. All right, let's assume it does, right? What do you do at that? Like, what are you doing at that point? Ah, you know something? I wonder like how old it was. How old, I don't know, like Tay Day was when he realized he could sing the notes to Chocolate Rain, and it's just, and he just goes from there. Oh, it turns out he hit a body when he was 15. Like,
Fuck yeah.
yeah, how do you get that far?
So
I
weird.
never understood that.
No, a passion project I would understand in terms of these kinds of videos would be one I've been watching lately, which is some guy made a video in defense of Dark Souls 2 Skull Over the First Sin, which is like an
Yeah,
absolutely fucked up game.
it's
And the
great.
guy, I kid you not, he has 9 hours of videos. They were released like each video was released the next 2 days, but it's already
Yeah,
all
yeah,
made before he released the first one, right?
yeah.
He has 9 hours just tearing down all the arguments in defense of Dark Souls 2
The
Scholar of the
the
First Sin.
longest video I've seen is, I think, 4 or 5 hours long on YouTube, right? And
Yeah.
it's literally a dude ranking the top 10 strongest characters in One Piece, and like you can see like the amount of research he's gone into.
Oh, yeah, for
He
sure.
he even starts off the video by saying like, I'm assessing a character and putting them in this position based off of, I don't know, like the size of their fleet, like the armada that they have, the
What's Armada with you?
but no, it's like, like their fighting capability, and then like their use of like haki or something like that, and
Yeah.
like I was like, surely like this is like, surely there's like autofill in this, like the in between part. Surely he's milking it for views or something. No, there wasn't a single minute wasted, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and like
That's weird.
the like I no, I think like in those kind of areas that's fair. Like that's
Yeah.
genuinely a passion, especially if it's 9 hours refuting an argument. Like,
That's impressive because the arguments were literally just 1 hour long. It was a video and one
yeah,
hour long stating how things were positive in Dark Souls 2. But the
yeah,
thing
yeah,
is, the guy made one huge mistake, which is at the start he said that if you changed anything in Dark Souls and if you gave yourself more healing, then the game would
yeah,
be less challenging and therefore less fun. But that's what
yeah.
they did in Dark Souls 2. They just gave you a lot of fucking healing for free. So it just make the game less challenging and less fun. But then he proceeds to argue that all the healing and all the things that supposedly would make more healing are actually inherently fun. And it's like, what?
So my main issue with this is going to turn into a Dark Souls topic now. Um,
Yeah.
my main issue with like Dark Souls 2
Yeah.
was always to do with the fact that like it was so slow. Like in
Yeah.
terms of like game fluidity, like the mechanics in the game was so slow. I
Yeah.
I I for a short while I thought like there was something wrong with my controller when I saw my character move, right?
Yeah, I get that.
And
I get that.
yeah, and like for those of you that have played like Dark Souls 1 or Demon Souls, right? The only thing that makes those game like makes your character slow in that game is if you just have really fat
Heavy
armor.
armor. Yeah.
Yeah, like if you wear like the Havel set and then you just run around, right?
Yeah.
But like outside of that, the game is pretty fluid, right? I don't think I've ever had like any issues with like hitboxes unless it came to like PvP because PvP can kind of be hit or miss, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but like Dark Souls 2, my god, man, hated that shit. Hated that
Oh.
so much. Even like the healing, like how long it takes for your bar to fill up, looks like
Oh.
looks
It
yeah,
looks
looks like
really
your H
slow.
yeah, it looks like your HP is just getting out of bed. Like
Yeah.
it's so like it's
Yeah, that's true.
uh, like like
Oh
I dr-
shit! Do I have
like
to
no,
move?
exactly. Dark Souls 1. I drink an Estus.
Yeah.
Boom. Back to like
You
however
know
much
how
health
much
I
HP
needed.
you have.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Dark Souls 2. I drink it and I watch like the health bar and I see it just go. Ugh, all right, give me a minute. There we go. You know?
Remember when I said like I'd probably record my first playthrough of the Dark Souls series and shit
Yeah,
like that? I decided, before I get to the actual games,
yeah,
I'm gonna go into Dark Souls 2 and actually
y-
check the controls for keyboard and mouse.
yeah.
That was ridiculous. First of all, you can't select keys, right? You can't go press whatever key you want and then just, I don't know, like forward, I want W, left,
Yeah,
I want A. No, 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 no. You have the fucking key, fucking mouse selection menu, and in the mouse
yeah,
selection menu, you press one thing and it gives you a selection of controls that you can use. And like, okay, fair enough. You need like 21 keys to to
yeah,
to get the whole everything in the game, right? Including camera and all of that, because you have normally on a controller you have the analog stick to move the camera and all that. In this case, you have the mouse, so it takes a few keys off. But you didn't need like 20 keys for it. But it was ridiculous. If you wanted to change weapons or something, it's like control and then click on the mouse. If you want to attack, it just click on the mouse. If you want a strong attack, you have to double click for some reason instead of press, which is just
yeah.
weird. There are so many keys. Alt, control. Some of them were like shift plus alt plus control. Yeah, it's just like it's
It got
ridiculous.
it got trickier as well if you like because further on in the game as you go along, right, you can learn like you can apply magic buffs to your weapon. Like there are certain spells and stuff that buff your
Yeah,
character,
yeah.
right? To like micromanage that on a keyboard as well,
It's
it's just
insane.
another level of difficulty,
It's actually
right?
insane. I
It's
had the same problem with Neo, and then
yeah,
on the screen you never have like what key you're actually using or need to use. It
yeah,
has the Xbox controllers buttons.
yeah,
It's like I'm
yeah.
not I'm not playing on an Xbox, am I?
The thing is like I think FromSoft kind of knew Dark Souls 2 was going to be a flop. Which is why also
Really?
they kind of yeah, I think like in like I can't remember in one of their like game expos, right? Like when
Yeah.
they were like when they gave like really big screen time for like Demon Souls, Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 3, and there's like one snippet of like Dark Souls 2 in the cut, like the right? And I think and I think like they kind of dug themselves a hole by saying like okay, even like lore wise, they were like okay, this game is taking place in like an alternate timeline.
Clearly,
There's no
but
yeah, right? There's
yeah,
no correlation. But then like when Dark Souls 3 was announced, everyone was so excited because they even said like it's like a lot of the YouTubers who like reviewed there's like a really good YouTuber Vati Vidya who does like a
I know
lot
who
of
it is.
yeah, he does his whole channel is pretty much based on like Dark Souls lore and
Yeah.
or Bloodborne lore
That's really
and like
cool though. I wish there were more channels like specific to certain games or certain
yeah,
series like
yeah,
that because I really
I'd
like
like
those.
the thing is like I remember when I watched like his stuff where he's like talking about the lore of each character and stuff in Dark Souls or like the place. You could easily make a book out of that. or like a graphic novel,
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure, yeah.
you know?
I'm
And I
I'm talking, for example, Genshin Impact. I think it should have like a
yeah,
book
yeah,
reading YouTube
yeah,
channel or something like that, because they have
yeah,
so many books. Skyrim actually has this for on Spotify. There's
yeah.
literally like Skyrim book club or something like that, where they read literally every single book every week. They read a new book.
I so here's the thing. This is which I think is really interesting. When Skyrim first came out, uh, the place the place I live in, like I think like 20 minutes drive from my house, there was like the Skyrim fantasy lore writing club.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's just a group of people that would gather around and then like write lore for Skyrim, like fan made lore, right?
That's
But the
the
thing is,
kind
like,
of passion project I'd like to see, though. I
yeah, yeah,
think.
yeah, that's a kind of passion project I'd like to do. They would
Yeah,
meet
yeah.
weekly, and like everyone has to have something prepared. But the thing is, like, you can't like insert new thing into the lore. You have to work with what's within the Skyrim universe.
The main player wastes
Yeah.
wastes 8 hours duplicating items using a glitch.
I remember like we'll label this entire section as gaming, but like I remember there
Gaming
was
with a Y.
no uh yeah we'll label it gaming with a Y, but make it two words so people think it's like a homosexual Chinese guy, right? But
Are we
no, no, like
allowed to make these jokes?
I don't know. I mean, it's not like we're gonna get monetized for any of this. But
Yeah, yeah,
no,
sure.
no, there was a glitch in Skyrim where like if you go to like a certain area, and there's just a corpse there. If you like search the corpse, you'll find a Book of Oblivion, right?
Yeah,
And then if you walk back and then walk towards the corpse again, you could search it, and he's got the Book of Oblivion again, right?
yeah.
And you just keep doing this, and each book is worth like 50 gold. So like you just so like when you show up to the village, you're basically just pulling a library along, and you're like, who wants their books of oblivion? So
Read your book here.
I like how like in Skyrim, I'd like to see bartering mechanics in a game. You know when
Oh
you
yeah,
when
yeah, yeah.
yeah, I'd really like to see that in like an open world. I'd really like to see that.
Yeah,
Obviously
that would
not to
be.
the
Oh,
in Skyrim you could
Witcher.
do like
Witcher had it a bit.
Witcher, but like in Skyrim, you could also they kind of did it in the sense that like okay, you can either like politely suggest it or try and intimidate the person into giving you a cheaper price.
Yeah, hiatus
But
speech.
yeah, 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 and I think like well, I mean, you could then just ask the question like if they're gonna get intimidated by you to get a cheaper price, why don't you just bully them and take it off of them? Like, give me the book, you virgin. Just
Just like, would you like to buy this book? I want it cheap. We can't lower the price. I will kill you.
all right, man, it's yours. Take it.
No, he just says no anyway. Ha ha ha! What a joker! And you kill him. Just get it from the corpse. Easy. And then you just load up the quick save, and you have both books now.
The yeah, there was a glitch in Skyrim as well where you can get like a
There's a
uh
glitch in every Bethesda game. That's ridiculous.
yeah, I know. But no, 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 there's a glitch in like Skyrim where like you can get this artifact called the Ogma Infinium, right? And it's a book, right?
Yeah.
And to get the artifact, by the way, it was like one hell of a mission. What you have to do is you go and find like this old sorcerer dude, right? And he's like in like this little ice. He's in like this little igloo, and inside the igloo is like this dwarven mechanism. And you show up and you're like, what's going on over here? And he's just like, oh, there's a book inside and I don't know how to get it out, right? And then you're like, oh, let me try. And then like you try and force your way through, you can't do it. And then like he's just like, I have an idea. Why don't you get me one vial of orc blood, one vial of dark elf blood, one vial of like wood elf blood, frost elf, all of that kind of stuff, right?
Honestly, that would be the first thing I'd try.
Yeah. Works first time, every time.
It's like
Appa-
Orangina commercials, you know. It's like you
oh
can
my
clean
god.
with it. You can clean with it. Use it as shampoo.
Quick,
Everything.
quick, quick, quick side note to everyone listening. We recommend that you look at a compilation of Orangina commercials. Anyway, so then what happens is like you once you get like each of the vials, which by the way, finding some people, like finding orcs is quite easy in Skyrim, right? But
Yeah.
finding like certain elves is so difficult. I just resorted to killing NPCs, right? Because I
Okay.
was like, I'm sorry, I gotta find out what's inside this machine, right? And then like when you get it, you get this book called the Ogma Infinium, and it's like, okay, do you want to read the Way of the Warrior, the Way of the Rogue, or the Way of the Intellect, or Way of the Mind, right? And Way of the Warrior is just Way of the Warrior class. Way of the Rogue is Way of the Stealth class. Way of the Mind is Way of the Mage and Healing class, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And what it is if you pick whichever one you pick, it bumps all of the skill tree things attributed to that area by 5 levels.
Oh fuck. Okay.
So it's quite right. But
Yeah.
apparently, if you pick a thing, like pick a way, and then like you drop the book, exit out after the autosave, and then come back in and pick the book up, it'll ask you again like, oh, which one do you want to pick? And it'll add another 5, and you can just keep doing this until you've maxed out all of your skill trees.
Nice. You
So
know,
like,
gameplay.
but yeah, no, that was such a I spent so many I have so many hours on Skyrim.
I
I
have
feel
so
like
many hours on Skyrim and I've played nothing, by the way. I literally have over 300 hours on Skyrim and I've
have
never
you
gotten past 50%.
in the early days of Skyrim, if you did all the side quest, right?
Yeah.
Like all of the side quests and then come back to the main quest, the the levels don't progress with you. So you can come back like level 70 and then there's like a level 20 dragon. It's like, quick, who will slay this beast? And then you just stab it in the eye and it dies.
You just
And
one
then
shot it.
and yeah, yeah, yeah. And then like a bunch of like the soldiers NPCs come along and they're like, that was a tough battle. You're like, was it?
Hello there, sir.
Halt in the name of the Jarl.
Wait. Oh yeah, actually, I don't really use every time I've played Skyrim. I've never really actually used the power of the Dragonborn, like all the Fusro Das and the fire
Oh,
moves and
the, the,
shit.
the, the voice.
Yeah, I never actually really used all that much. Aside from, I think one time I modded it to have like Getsuga Tensho as my as my scream.
The only mod I've ever had was that all the dragons were characters from Thomas the Tank Engine.
Oh yeah, I've seen that one. Yeah, that's
Yeah, and
funny.
then like it's funny, but it's also terrifying because like you could be like enjoying like especially at nighttime where your character's running around, right? It's like in the middle of the woods, and then you'll hear like the Skyrim like "Da-na-na-na-na-na," right? And then
Yeah.
like as you're running around, you're like, ah, so peaceful, and then it just goes dun 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 as like the Thomas the Tank Engine dragon comes down. That shit's terrifying.
Okay,
Like
ballers.
scared the hell out. I didn't realize that like once you've completed every quest in Skyrim, you get approached by this dude called the Ebony Warrior, right? When you
Okay.
reach level 80, right, in
Yeah.
Skyrim,
Yeah.
he'll come up and he'll be like, "Hey man, we gotta fight," right? And apparently he's also the best other warrior in Skyrim,
Oh, sick
and
dog.
and I think like they said that like certain NPCs do kind of hint to that there's someone else going around killing people and stuff like that, right?
And dragoons.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And what ends up happening is when you meet him, he'll say like, "Oh, meet me over there at the top of this mountain." You show up and he's standing there and he's just like, "Okay, you ready to fight?" If you say yes, that that dude is impossible, right? And you find out why because once you kill him, you see like his his armor set is all enchanted, so his helmet gives him like 50% regen healing. So like whatever you
Oh.
hit, right? And then
Yeah.
like he's got two enchanted blades, and he's got like armors that allow him to like increase his equipment load. So he's just pulling out all sorts of like crazy weapons, right? And what makes it even more difficult is that he's also got like the he's also got the dragon voice that the he can also Fusroda,
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. Mm.
right? And then what ends up happening is like so people were like, okay, well there's different approaches you can take, but the most efficient approach is some people tried Fusro dying him off of the mountain, like off the edge, so he just dies.
Yeah.
But when you go down to the body, he's just getting up. He's like, all right, are you ready to fight? Right? But one person was like, if you max out your stealth, you can just walk in front of him, take all of his stuff, and then just fight him naked.
Easy, fucking shortcuts. Anyway, this was a fucking tangent.
This is one hell of a tangent. All right, so it's fine, it's fine. We'll segue into this, right? And you know, like the one thing about Skyrim is like sometimes, yeah, the food can help you. Now, speaking of food, I noticed that you're talking about Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah, yeah. So basically, there's these two shows. Not two shows, but you have Gordon Ramsay and any show attached to him, and then you have this guy that does bar rescue. Don't know if you've
Yeah,
ever seen. It's basically
not
Hell's Kitchens, but for bars. You know?
bar rescue. Sorry, I'm
Um.
just googling it. I
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
want to see what it
And
is.
like every single
Images.
episode, they say
Oh, this
something.
dude.
Every single episode they say something along the lines of, "Well, I've never seen this in my life," and then they see it in the next episode and the episode before. I'm like, what? You have though. You went to a bar that it's actually worse than this one last episode. What are you talking about? You want to get smacked? Shit.
The host kind of looks like he's having like an allergic reaction to cuttlefish. Like he's like the
He looks
skin's
so
kind of
strange.
puffy.
I don't think. I think we talked about this, but he starts every episode literally like sending someone in, and he's like, they always have cameras everywhere. You know those huge ass cameras
Yeah,
that you
yeah,
barely notice.
yeah.
Uh,
It's like they look like they took them from military drones.
yeah, yeah,
Just like the underside.
yeah, and like he has the fucking place all cambered up, and then he sends like his wife, girlfriend, employee, whatever. He sends someone
Yeah,
inside, and then he's just in a car outside, just looking at a laptop, like, "Oh, look at what they're doing. Oh, what? I can't believe they
T-
did this
but
for like
this
40
sounds
minutes."
this sounds really similar to Mystery Diners. Do you remember Charles Styles, Mystery Diner?
Oh,
The
that guy.
yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah.
It's just
Fuck.
it's
Oh,
I
fuck,
I
mystery
never
diners.
yeah, Charles Styles, Mystery Diners.
Oh,
Hi, nice to yeah, good to see you, Charles. Charles Styles, Mystery Diners, right?
that's all. Oh, he's broke. Shit. Hey, Jordan, Jordan, bring the bolts.
Mystery Styles, Charles Diner. Just
He's like a jeep pilot white.
yeah. But no, so what? He just goes around and rescues with just bars, basically.
Yeah, yeah. It's not. Is it
So
rescue when you're yelling at people?
what does he do to okay, here's the thing. Like I think it's common knowledge now that Gordon Ramsay, world famous chef, really knows his stuff. Like
Yeah.
you can't pull anything against that guy, right? And like I'm fairly certain if you pulled a gun out, he'll probably tell you that it was probably like it wasn't homemade, like the gun, right? Right? But like the thing is like
This gun is more raw than a squid in Japan.
no, but like the thing is
Totally.
does he actually help people, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
if you
yeah.
because there's like an entire list if you look online of like all the restaurants Kitchen Nightmares has gone into, and like the majority of them have just filed for bankruptcy.
Yeah, yeah. So that's the thing, because you can't really change people's way of thinking, in my opinion. You can't really change people's way of thinking in like 2 weeks, a week, whatever, right? However long it takes.
Yeah,
So
it takes like a lifetime.
yeah, because Gordon Ramsay does like a full fucking overhaul of the whole building in like a night. So you don't
Yeah,
you don't realize how fast the episodes actually are, even though he takes months and months away to go to the places and do things. But
yeah,
like the episodes are actually all filmed in like 2 weeks maximum or something like that, right? Or very short bursts throughout a month. So they don't really have a lot of time to handle things, right? So Hell's Kitchen, for example, and Hotel Hell and shit like that. It's literally like one episode is the meetup, then another, well, not one episode, but like you have the meetup. First
the
ceremony.
first 15 minutes is the meetup. Second is like him observing,
Yeah,
serving. The
yeah.
second is the third is like him like telling them how to improve, and then
And then he changes the kitchen. Then he
yeah,
gets a new team for the kitchen or something along those lines. He trains the team to cook a certain dishes, and then he has the test dinner, and
it's
then
just
there's the end of
building.
the episode.
It's just building to him buying their restaurant. Just
It's like, I fixed it. I have the kitchen. It's mine. Okay, shout. That's how he made all his money.
no fixies backsies.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's how he has all his money. He just buys
Yeah,
everything, and no one can compete against him.
he's but yeah, no, no. So like that entire process, right?
Yeah,
It's like I take it he pays for that because if he doesn't and he does it off of their money, then no wonder
yeah.
they're going bankrupt, right?
No, no. But what I'm saying is, the episodes are really like it's a really short amount of time that he's actually in
Compact.
there
Yeah, 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 yeah.
and telling them how to do things because he also has his stuff to do. This guy in Bar Rescue is exactly the same, probably even faster, and he does exactly the same as well. So if he doesn't like the entertainment part of the business, he tells them
Yeah.
off for it and he tells them how to do better. If he doesn't like the cocktails, he tells them what menu to use, what recipes to use for the cocktails and shit like that. It's exactly the same as Hell's Kitchen, but it's for
Okay.
bars strictly, right?
That's a really niche.
Yeah, it is. It really
Like
is. That's why you
that's
don't know it,
is it
even though
is
it.
it yeah, yeah,
Go ahead.
is it still is it ongoing or has it ended?
I have no idea. I just see snippets of it on YouTube
I
nowadays.
wouldn't be I wouldn't be surprised if it's ended because like the thing is like that's that's ridiculously niche because there's a
Yeah,
difference between like having like a world star chef a 3 or 4 Michelin however many Michelin stars Gordon has because the thing is like each star also indicates like your skill like your knowledge base on like different areas of like
yeah,
consumerism like
yeah, yeah,
eating
yeah, yeah.
right and drinking and stuff like that and like
Management and stuff like
yeah
that.
yeah
All
yeah
those
yeah,
stuff.
and like I just I don't understand like how something that's so niche could even gain traction. The
I don't know if it did actually. I actually don't know if it
yeah
did because it's so niche and it's weird because like Gordon Ramsay gets angry and yells at people, but I feel maybe I'm biased, but it's more sympathizing the way he does it. The John guy from Bar
yeah
Rescue,
yeah
he's really just aggressive and angry at people for no reason. He's super
yeah.
nice and just like that, he snaps out of it and just yells at people.
Gordon Ramsay like does a good job of he does a good job of like when you mess up he'll let you know but when you do good he'll also let you know really well
Yeah, yeah,
right
yeah.
which is why like when when they had him on like Master Chef, right? Everyone liked him because not just because like he of the way he spoke or his insults or anything like that. It was also because whenever Joe would show up, it always felt like he was trying to out Gordon Ramsay,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, okay.
At which point it just turns into two bullies
Yeah,
bullying someone who
pretty
they
much.
encourage to chase their dreams,
It's like,
right?
well, this food is absolute dog shit. It's going in the garbage.
But the thing is like no no but the thing is like he I like the I don't know how true it is, but like apparently he does follow through on the parts where he says like, oh, you know, like I don't want you wasting your potential here. I'll pay for your culinary school experience and stuff like
Oh
that.
yeah, he did that with Flirting.
He's put chefs through like culinary schools and
Yeah,
stuff
I
like that.
believe that. I believe that. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. And I think like even if you watch like Hell's Kitchen where he's like full on rage mode, right?
yeah.
Which, by the way, it makes like he explained why he's harsher on Hell's Kitchen than he is on like Master Chef, which is because in Hell's Kitchen those aren't just like home chefs; those are actual people in color with culinary backgrounds. So he
Yeah, yeah.
expects them, yeah.
And it's
So
also one of his establishments. His name is on the
yeah,
front as well. Yeah.
yeah, and like but even there, he's a very sympathetic person. Like most of the times, whenever he's like whenever
Outside the
yeah
cameras, basically. Yeah.
yeah no but
You see it at the end actually. Near the end of all that those shows,
yeah
mostly was it Kitchen Nightmares? Was it? Yeah.
yeah
At the end of like Kitchen Nightmares, you usually see him being way more sympathetic and shit like that. You actually see him.
that's the thing though, because like he and again, like I think as I've told you this, like it's all really a front for TV, right?
Yeah.
Because yeah, I a friend of a friend works at like Gordon Ramsay's restaurant here in England, and like the thing is he was he was saying like oh maybe it's because like that the team of chefs that work there are really like well skilled and they like know their stuff, right?
Yeah.
But he very rarely like the only time you do kind of see the TV persona is when he reads the order, like the what the order is, where
Yeah.
he's like two scallops, one, you know, where he does like the whole auctioneer kind of like, yeah, right,
We got
and
a flavor of the rubber.
sold, right, and like, but like outside of that, you don't really see it, and like if you, I listened to like his audio biography, right, where
Yeah,
like he was like telling about himself, like if you look at the dude's background, right, like how he grew up and shit like that,
yeah.
he kind of had to turn into like the person he is, right? And he said like when he went to France, the first day he was at like a Michelin star restaurant, the head chef threw a piece of like raw chicken past his head, and he said like the only good thing that ever happened to you was the shit that landed on your forehead when your mother pushed you out of the womb. Like,
Nice.
right, and Gordon was clearly, Gordon was like, all right, I have to outdo those insults, or like I have to like keep them coming in my career, right? Because
I need to out X name
yeah, yeah,
X.
yeah, 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 literally, and like, but like you see like you see the fact that like he so in like in his audio biography, he says like he was, his mother and father were like, his father was like a heavy alcoholic, like
Okay.
aggressive alcoholic, and his mother hadn't known like, hadn't been in a serious relationship before that, so in her mind that's what all relationships were like,
Oh
right, like
yeah,
very
yeah.
abusive
I
and stuff like
understand
that,
that. Yeah.
right,
Okay.
yeah, and I think like what ended up happening was like for his 15th birthday, when he was he went out like with his friends, when he came back home, he saw like his dad was like drunk at the top of the stairs, and then he his dad picked up like a radio his mum bought for him and just hurled it at him, right, and then like he like moved, like it missed him, and then he said like, you know, why would you do that, you know, like mum worked real hard, like to buy that for me, and then like his dad like chased him out of the house, and his mum was the one that said like just go away for like for like do what you need to do, like do what you want to do, right, I think you need like space from the house, right, so like he worked once a week in college learning culinary, like learning cooking, right? And then after that, what ended up happening was like he he also worked like part time in like other areas. He did odd jobs, but where like shit really hit the fan was when he got a call from like the police saying that like his father has been arrested for like assaulting his mother, and apparently like he like threw like hot chocolate in her face and just kicked the living shit out of her,
Oh
right?
fucking hell.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Jesus
yeah.
Christ.
It's really grim. And he was saying like when he
This
saw his,
episode is pretty grim.
it's very dark. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Jesus.
But like, but like, but like he said like when he saw her at the when he saw her at the hospital, like her eyes were completely swollen shut,
Yeah.
right? And after that, what ended up happening was he said that when he gained traction in the in his field of cooking and stuff like that, I think that's when he was also working like Marco Pierre White's restaurant. He gets
Mm.
like a call from like I think like a random number, and he answers it, and it's like his dad saying like, "Oh, you should come and meet me and stuff like that," right? And he gives him this address. Gordon goes to meet him, and it's like underneath like a bridge, right? Like a
He's a
really old.
troll.
Yeah, yeah, right. But no, like what happened was, uh, it turns out like he was living underneath that bridge. He's like, so then what happened was Gordon said like, he said something like, oh, you know, like I was shocked and surprised because uh this man who I was so scared of for like all of my life was now like just this really frail old person, right?
Yeah.
And nearly, I think like the last thing he did in that meeting was he gave him like £1,000 to put like a deposit into like some flat, and then just ended all communication with him,
Yeah, no, that's
right?
that's the
So
right thing to do, man.
so you see like how aggressive and stuff he is in, like I don't know, like in any of these shows, right? And whether it's true or not, like if you like look into his backstory, you can kind of see why he had to like turn into that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it was like it's a good like audio biography that if you're interested about like learning about the dude, go for it.
Fair enough.
He was also on track to be, he wanted to become a footballer,
Oh,
which
okay.
which is why he's kind of built like a Roblox character. Like it's it's weird because like, do you know that episode of like South Park? Ah, brr, brr, brr.
Yeah,
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 rustic,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
I thought like South Park was taking the piss out of Gordon Ramsay, and then I watched like an episode of MasterChef Australia where he was a guest judge, right?
Yeah, he
And
does that.
and yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, he does this thing where their challenge was they had to open up a mystery box, and inside the mystery box was like like a bunch of ingredients that he had selected, right? And
Yeah,
there was like
rustic.
yeah, no, but there was like a lamb rack, there was beer, there was like all this kind of stuff, right? And there was one dude, and he made like an oven roasted lamb rack with like beer battered cauliflower,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
And like Gordon like eats it, and uh he Gordon eats it, and he's just like I tell you what, that's worth traveling 7,500 miles for. You just made cauliflowers the sexiest thing I've ever seen on the planet. I'm like, all right, and then he gives him like a Master Chef apron, and he's just like, congratulations, you sexy beast. Like, all right, Gordon,
Fucking Veggie
calm.
Tales just comes out.
Yeah, yeah.
Come here, dear Gordon. We are holy.
He's it's so bizarre. You know something actually? I think we should do like the next episode when we decide to do it next year, right? I
Yeah.
think I think we should do it on just very dark segments. I think we should have like a grim episode, just completely grim.
Let's wait for Halloween then.
Hasn't it already come? No, I think we should do a completely grim episode because
Okay.
I think like it's a real change of pace, right?
Yeah.
Because the thing is like we could have hitting on girls. That's probably going to get flagged as like a really grim thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then and then retrospective is also kind of dark, right?
Oh,
And then
dark
shows
girls.
we have fun, right? And then I think like the Gordon Ramsay, like just his backstory is just grim. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
people seem to forget that like his wife is also a cook.
Is she?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. She writes cookbooks, okay, and
Oh,
yeah, she's had like what's the word like experience in cooking, obviously, because you can't. I don't know how I don't know who'd buy her books, but what ends up happening like
who buys
because
books?
apparently for cooking it's actually quite useful.
But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
internet though.
Yeah, true, 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 true. Or you can just buy like the Gordon Ramsay masterclass on like how to, you know that thing actually, masterclass, like that fee that service where you pay for like you pay for it. It's like a subscription, and
Yeah.
you go into one particular field, and it teaches you how to like gain mastery level skills for like
Boot
certain
camps
top.
basically.
Yeah, 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 but online, right?
Yeah, it's boot
And
camps. Yeah, yeah. Programming
and
has
and
boot
it's
camps. So.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, no, so Gordon Ramsay's on it, and he's like, "I'll teach you everything I know about cooking," right? And it's like really high quality videos as well. Like they really try and make sure you get like your value for money,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
Hmm.
But sometimes they like don't realize like difficulty is subjective, right?
Okay.
So
Yeah, yeah.
you can pay for a masterclass in like cooking. Fair enough. That's a tactile skill. You can learn knife skills. You can rewatch the video how he does stuff, right? But then you can also pay for masterclass in like in like the physics that go behind like astronauts and like the space travel and stuff like that,
Yeah.
right?
Okay. Yeah.
And or like you can pay for a masterclass in business and economics and like learning how like stock markets fluctuate, right?
Yeah.
Now I've not paid for any of this, but like surely there's a because the thing is like STEM fields like cooking as well, you learn stuff in uni, right? They
Yeah.
teach you like set problems, but then you know how people always make fun of the fact that like okay, the problems that you learn in class is nowhere near the difficulty that you have in the exams, right?
Yeah. More
When
in
in
real life.
reality, yeah, yeah, but in reality, right? The idea is that the problems that you learn in class is not it's not so much about learning about the problems, it's learning about how to use the theory,
Yeah.
right? So like the exam questions I don't think are ever more or less difficult than what you come across in class. They just give you a different scenario where you have to kind of use the theory to match it,
Yeah.
right? So with like stock markets, something like a masterclass in stock market, something that's constantly moving. There's no traction. You don't know which way it's going to flow. A friend of mine was saying he bought like a couple of shares in Tesla, right?
Yeah.
And then and then he sold those shares and he made £500, right? But he was saying like it's so difficult to predict how they're going to move, right? And why he sold it was because when Elon Musk recently tweeted saying like, oh, he'll sell all of Tesla's shares to try and solve world hunger,
Yeah.
right?
Mm.
Just that one offhanded comment, the stock started fluctuating because
Yeah.
people weren't sure like what's he gonna do,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Even if you have like masterclass, even in like physics, like rocket travel or like space travel, right? How do you? It's easy because you don't need to pay like 40 quid a month just to know like okay if object X is traveling at like this speed, right, and it's moving at a gradient of this, right? What's its like landing time for this distance? You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
you don't need to pay 40 quid for that. Like
Well,
I'd
depends on the teacher.
Jesus. No, I'd I'd pay like 40 quid just to watch videos of Gordon Ramsay like
Teaching you
fully
how to
teaching you.
cook.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
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 Because the thing is like the thing is like unless you're like interested in that field, you're gonna need to know how to cook. But you're not always gonna need to know how to like land a rocket in this very specific problem scenario
Yeah.
on
That's
the
true.
moon. So
Uh,
yeah,
so we talked like 2 days ago how
yeah,
I found out that Joe Rogan was a comedian, right? And I watched a fucking
yeah,
clip from him,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And like the thing is, he's a weird type of comedian because he has the podcast and he has the comedies, the stand up, right? And in the
yeah.
stand up, he says the exact same things as in the podcast, just that in the stand up, he wants it to come off as funny, and people are expecting
And
it
the
to be funny.
yeah, yeah, and then the podcast he
And the
kind of
podcast is
keeps it
really
open
serious.
to discussion. Yeah.
I kid you not. I was watching one of the clips from the podcast where he was talking about is is something about like a girl that got pregnant without having a vagina. She was born without a vagina and she still got pregnant in a knife attack.
Okay.
It's really
Okay.
weird. And like in the stand up, he tried to make it funny, but in the podcast, he said it exactly the same way, exactly the same words, but it didn't sound funny. And I think that's kind of cool. But so we're talking about Joe Rogan, right? And we've talked before in a previous episode, we talked about boxing, right? TikTokers versus YouTubers,
Yes,
all
yes,
that whole
yes, yes,
shit.
yes, yes.
Where is
Yeah.
Austin? Where is Austin? Whatever the fuck his name is now with all the money. Like, I want to see. I want to see. Apparently, Trump said he'd in a fight he'd fucking trash Joe Biden, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I really want to see 70-year-olds having a fucking boxing match. Where is Austin with his fucking money? I want to see it happen.
The thing is though,
Yeah.
Trump could actually trash. I'm not. This isn't like me supporting Trump or but I don't give a shit. I do not give a shit, right?
No, but
The
imagine bringing back the presidents and shit, just have a
No, 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 no,
presidential
no.
boxing
That's what I'm
match.
saying. I'm seeing it purely as like two
Yeah.
old saggy men punching each other,
And
right?
then
It's
Hillary
two punch.
Clinton.
Yeah, yeah. It's two wet punching bags punching each other, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like, and I just think that like Trump clearly has a lot more mass to him, right?
And he's fucking
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. And Biden looks like he gets out of breath drinking soup. So like, I just think like, I just think that like, I just think Trump has like
I
people
do
make
think he has better chances, but I want to see it
he,
though.
I'd like to see it too.
I
I'd
want to
also like
see.
I'd
I want to see them like have a year of practice and shit. They post their videos like, yeah, this is what I got now, and then just like see their tits swap, fucking dangling
Trump,
about.
Trump gets like a before and after the fight, and his face still looks the same. You can't tell like if he's been punched or not. Yeah, just just that constant duck face, or like the same face he makes when like you think you've smelt a fart, just right. So like so I'd like to see that. I'd like to see that. I'd also like to see what is it? You know what they should do? I'd really
Yeah.
because a good substitute for rioting. I feel, is if you get like supporters from either side. So if you get like people who are anti-liberal, and then you get like Antifa, right?
Okay.
If you get like their top fighters, send because like in like the olden days, what they used to do is like if two villages had like a dispute, they would get like the strongest guy in their village, the other village would get the strongest guy in their village, and the two of them would fight, and then whoever wins,
Oh
that
yeah,
decides,
yeah, yeah.
right?
I know what you
You
mean.
should
Yeah.
do that for political things. I think like during like the during like the Black Lives Matter riots, not even that, when like Antifa were losing their shit, or like the far right wing conservatives, ultra right wing, were like going marching down in Charlottesville shouting like the Jews will not replace us. I think you should get one fighter from Antifa, one fighter from that, and then just put them in the ring, see what happens,
But this
right?
is interesting. This is interesting because then the argument would be like, oh, but there's gonna be so much money spent on organizing the event. Yeah, but people would pay to watch though.
People would pay to watch, and you have less property damage. You're
Yeah.
not covering the damages of the property. The people who own the property that were getting damaged in these riots, I'm sure, would subscribe to this as well,
Some
because they're like, oh,
underground
I mean,
cockfight.
yeah, 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 it's
The
just a bunch.
liberal, the liberal rooster versus
I,
the
I'd
Antifa.
oh man, I'd love to see this. I'd love, just it'll bring a whole new meaning to like political like.
Oh, that'd be so cool. It's like wind fighting a coin to see which side is gonna land, but with
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, and we're the wind.
Yeah.
No, but like I'd pay to see that. I'd pa-
Oh,
I'd
that
pay I'd
sounds dope.
I'd pay a lot of money to see that. People always just like yeah, fuck it actually, right? We just watched like
We're
we have
kind of
history.
we're kind
We
of
have
just
no
describing gladiator
no
matches.
no no. Well, yeah, obviously, right? But I'm just saying like we just have gone through a point of human history where we've paid for a bunch of narcissists to box each other, right?
True, true.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah,
apparently
okay,
they're all
okay.
like not
And
getting paid and shit. Yeah,
they're
it's
all
kind of
they're all
funny.
not getting paid, and they're an even bigger bankrupt, right? Like the
Yeah,
bankruptcy, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Now, let's use the same thing, same motivation, same drive and initiation and stuff like that for something that politically matters. I'd
Yeah,
love to see it.
yeah. That sounds awesome.
And why stop at presidents? Get everyone from the UN. Get each president like in the UN to fight each other. Then we'll find out who the best country actually is.
it's, it's so funny. I fucking love it. I would pay.
Do
I
you,
would
do
pay
you
to
know do
watch
you know
it.
do you know what I'd really love? Do you know what I'd really love? I don't know if it is in the UN. I'd really love Haiti. Just a little bit of background. When Haiti suffered the earthquake, its entire country was worth £1,200,
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
right? Just from the damage, right? So
yeah,
technically speaking, my first installment of student finance, I could have bought Haiti, right? But here's the thing: if every person from the UN was to fight in like this boxing match or whatever it is, okay, boxing match, yeah, fine, right? Okay, I'd love it if like the president of Haiti, right, just the underdog ends up winning. What a story that would be to
Oh
tell.
yeah, that would be so dope.
That'd be what a story that would be to. I think it would bring world peace.
Because he's the best around.
Right, gonna put a bit to break it down. you know, I no, but seriously, I'd watch that. I'd watch
That
that
sounds
so
so
much,
cool. Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah. Oh
Let's
fuck.
let's let's say like oh yeah, okay, North Korea, Kim Jong Un, is he a god? I don't know. Let's find out. Let's find out,
In the
right?
next episode of Presidential War. I slaughtered that fucking sentence, but I did it.
In the next episode of World War Z, right?
That actually exists.
Yeah, I know it's a zombie movie, but
Damn
still,
it.
no, no, but like I'd yeah, can your god, like to as the kids would say it, can your god catch these hands? Let's find out.
Oh.
Let's find out, right? Because like what's gonna happen? He'd probably be like,
I'm gonna be honest. What's gonna happen
what?
is Putin's gonna win everything.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. What? You know, like how everyone's got like every wrestler usually has like a cool entrance,
Yeah.
right? Um, I think Putin's one would be him like
Riding a bear.
backbreaking a backbreaking a grizzly bear, and then just like throwing it to the side and walking to the ring. That would scare the shit out of everyone. Like, yo, I thought this was a boxing match. What's he doing? Right, what's he? What? I'd rather fight the bear. Like, I'd rather fight the.
I kind of want to see. I kind of want to see an animation from Meat Canyon about this. Actually,
Yeah,
that'd be kind of
I'd,
cool.
That's a request, Meat Canyon. But no, or let's see. We can. England's would just be Boris Johnson wearing that big ball thing that you like stand like that
Oh
you
yeah,
wear,
yeah,
like the
the
ball suit,
bubble.
and he just runs up and boings into the ring, right? Right, and like what ends up happening is like in the middle of the fight, like they're punching him, like they're punching each other, and then like he gets punched in the face. But each time he gets punched in the face, he's like Boppo, the inflatable,
Yeah,
right? Just
yeah.
he just comes back,
The
right?
inflatable clown.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
and
Or
then and
like
then the Canadian president, whatever, is just like, let's not fight, eh?
he'd be the Jamie Oliver of
We're
this.
we're
He'd
not
be like,
we're not about to throw hands.
he's just he's well Justin Trudeau. I don't know. People have like a crush on like a lot of middle-aged women have a crush on Justin Trudeau. He'd be like the pretty boy of
Google
boxing. He'd be
Justin
the pretty
Trudeau.
boy. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, let me Google it. Let me Google Justin. Fuck. You can keep talking though. You can keep
No, no,
talking.
no. I was just thinking,
Oh,
what
I
would his
found
entrance
him.
be?
I found
What would
him.
his entrance be? What would his entrance be? He'd
I don't
be.
know. Sit down, drink tea. Okay, okay.
eh,
I'm not okay, but I can see why people
Yeah, yeah,
think
yeah, yeah.
he's
People would
kind
be
of
like,
funny.
oh, and after the match, Justin's being, flown back to Canada where he can get his free healthcare. It's just like
But
that's it.
the real question is though, which one of all the fucking world leaders would be the I never I never said I'm a fighter, I never claimed to
I
be a
never said I
fighter.
could. I never said I could. Yeah, I never said I could fight. Um, ooh, one of the Saudi ones. I think one of the Saudi ones. I think so. I think this is not a slight against like. Oh, we're already
uh,
fucked.
no,
But
we
like,
already talked about China and stuff, so we're
yeah,
fine.
yeah, 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 yeah. No, I think it's purely because of I'm saying purely them because not that they can't fight, they could probably kick my ass, right? But
Yeah,
like I'm saying them purely because it doesn't matter. Like you'll never people can't begin to comprehend what Saudi rich is.
yeah,
Like
that's true actually.
people don't realize it, right? There
Yeah,
was a comedian who said like uh everywhere else in the world they'll be like, oh my god, like I've lost $1 million, but in like any of the Saudi countries it's like I don't know which pocket I kept the $1 million in, like you know, like or maybe it'll show up in the wash, right? Like you can't like people can't comprehend how
yeah,
I'll,
I know that.
I'll
Yeah,
I'll put it this way, like for a case study that I had to do, okay, it was on like Leica cameras, right? And they
yeah,
were saying like how Leica cameras have a history of really like when camera companies were trying to be more accessible by like a wider audience, Leica was the only brand that said nope, we're going to appeal to just the high class people, right?
yeah,
and and the Sultan of one of the Saudi countries was interested in like a Leica camera that's been like what's the word, removed from like the production line, right?
yeah.
It had been removed for like 15 odd years. Yeah, he paid like $40 million just to get one particular one made, and then an additional 15 million on top just to get it in pink. Like you don't understand. People can't comprehend. Like this fight
No,
is
uh,
people can't comprehend how rich they're gonna show. You know what's gonna happen? They'd show up to the ring, right?
put a new
See
carpet
here,
on first.
yeah, no, no, no. They'd show up to the ring, okay? Everyone's cheering and stuff like that. They'd punch, they'd get hit, and they'd be like, you know what? This isn't for me. Tap out, leave. That's it. That what's good? I've got money. It doesn't make a difference. Like,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
So like,
God damn.
I don't think people realize like how let's see. Cuba. I think Cuba would be the other one though. I think Cuba would be the one that would actually be like, or North Korea, because North Korea is always like, we've got nuclear missiles, and then like when
Oh
everyone's like
yeah.
ready to fire at them, they're like, we didn't have any missiles. What are you guys talking? Where are you getting your information from? God.
This interwebs or whatever you have.
Like I'd pay to see that. I'd pay to, and I want Joe Rogan narrating it, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I want Joe Rogan narrating it. But when Putin comes on the stage, I also want a grizzly bear narrating it, like commentating on it. Yeah. We can't understand anything. It's probably gonna eat the mic, but like I'd still want that.
Or just a small glass between him and Joe Rogan, like
Yeah.
anti-COVID.
Yeah, just to protect against COVID. We don't want the bear getting COVID. The thing is, like, have you seen like a lot of Joe Rogan's gotten a lot of like negative traction because he doesn't he's been saying like some very pro anti-COVID shit,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, okay.
And and like it's so Joe Rogan is an interesting person because the thing is like you can't say the guy isn't open-minded. If you see like the people he has on his shows, right?
Yeah,
He's had like ultra right wings, he's had very far left wings, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And he clearly works off of his own logical system,
Yeah,
right? So there are points where he'll agree with like the ultra right wing, but then also call them out for like a bunch of shit, right?
yeah.
Similarly, he'll also agree with like the ultra left wings and then call them out for a bunch of shit. He'll bring on flat earthers, listen to everything they say, not even interrupt them, and then just say, "Well, hold on, that doesn't make sense. This
Yeah,
doesn't
because
make sense."
that's how you have an argument, a discussion, right?
Yeah,
If
yeah,
you
yeah, yeah,
keep interrupting the person that's making their argument, then you're just not arguing.
yeah. Yeah, right. Well, no, it's you're not arguing to find out something. You're just arguing to be right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah. And I think like I, which is fair, but I think like with the whole COVID situation, I think anti-vaxxers or COVID deniers started with this single thing, right? I think when COVID first came out in England, at least, everyone was like, right, we'll take it seriously. Yeah, it's very possible it's true. And then I think that when the quarantine like the quarantine dates kept extending, right?
yeah. And then
People just want
5G came out, and I knew something was
yeah,
going
yeah,
on.
yeah, and I think like people just wanted to go out. So it's easier to just
Yeah,
put a blind eye to something and say, "Nah, it's not true," and go out
yeah.
than to
Maybe,
like act. Yeah,
maybe.
because also what didn't help was like if you took the Pfizer vaccine,
Yeah,
right? If you took like anything metallic for like the first minute or so, if you put it, it has like a magnetic attraction to
yeah,
like
yeah,
where you had,
yeah,
right? And everyone's just like, that's so weird. What's up with it? And my friend Jason was the one who brought it to my attention, right? And like it's amazing. You just look it up, and there's a video of like a doctor in virology, and she was saying like, oh, what it is the human system, the human body is so hostile to any foreign object, even it's like if it's you like putting in your own blood into your bloodstream,
yeah.
right? It's
Hmm.
going to get very hostile against it, right? So to give the vaccination a chance to have like its effect on the system, they coat it in like this metal film, basically a thin like metal film,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So the antibodies attacking it creates like a pseudo magnetic kind of
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. Fuck.
right.
Cool. Cool. Yeah.
It's not even like because then like okay, let's say like oh you know like it's them tracking you and stuff like that. Why don't you just like take a phone and put it next to it, see what happens there? Like my phone just stops working.
Start charging.
Yeah, it starts charging. Like I don't understand where like also another thing that I don't understand with like anti-vaxxers. I was speaking to quite a few people about this, right? Especially like one woman in particular. She was telling me that so she's taken the vaccine. She's had both the doses, right? And she's had a booster because she's like a little up there in the age. But like she has a family member that like doesn't want to take the vaccine, right?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
she thinks like you know it's a government conspiracy and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you like? So what happens is she's like okay, but because she's part of the family, whenever they have like family gatherings, she doesn't want to show up there if this other woman is going to show up, right?
Yeah.
And she was saying like it's a weird double standards it's a weird double standard that anti-vaxxers have, which is you can't impose like you can't impose the vaccine on them because it's against their belief. But then they get really insulted when you don't want to hang out with them because they haven't been vaccinated,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
It is what it is, you know.
So why this is like circling around is like Joe Rogan has been spreading like a lot of like misinformation on like COVID,
Yeah,
right? And I think like when the virus came out, right? And like it was top of the charts. No, I think like when like the outbreak happened, entertainment and information took like a weird bend, right? Some information stayed on the straight and narrow, right? So world politics and stuff like that wasn't really too affected by like COVID,
yeah,
yeah, in terms of like war and stuff, yeah. But like where it got twisted was like so Joe Rogan kind of took a weird bend because he started like promoting a lot of like COVID misinformation through his podcast. And considering he's one of the most popular podcasts, that's a very dangerous thing to do.
yeah. People have a lot of influence, and they don't even realize how much
Yeah, yeah,
influence
yeah,
they actually
right.
have over people.
The others being like every single influencer during like the actual serious outbreak of COVID.
Yeah,
You know,
they were going out.
they were going out, but like so, it was weird how some of them don't even realize like how they were. Kim Kardashian rented out an island just to go and party for like 3 days straight. She rented out an island, right? And
What
she
kind of
posted it.
money?
Yeah, 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 right. So like the thing is like okay, actually, this is just going back real quick. If you want to understand what Saudi rich is, Kim Kardashian rented out an island. Saudis would probably rent out Kim Kardashian. Like that's
Yeah.
yeah, right. So here's the thing. Um, Kim Kardashian rented out an island, right? And when she rented out the island, her post on Instagram or something was like, "We just needed a day where we could just release, like, we could release the pent up stress from quarantine and experience life when it was normal and stuff like that." I'm like, "Well, that's great. Do you want to rent out some islands for us as well?" Because like, I don't, yeah, and like it's I'm conflicted because like a part of me is like, we're going through this, so should you. But that's the same point in time. They've got the resources, so I can't really. If I wanna, if I wanna experience something like that, tough. I should probably like I don't know, make a sex tape with Ray J and like make money out.
Yeah, and then you just started selling your K cons, you know.
Yeah, yeah. K-cons are just nose plugs. Just do
Okay.
you do you hate this? Do you hate smell, but also hate the smell of nose plugs? I've been using K-cons for like 100 years now, and
I can smell shit.
yeah, and because of how small they are, they can easily get lodged in your nose. I still haven't gotten mine out. Like,
I don't know what snort is.
yeah. And now they play music, and it's just just
If you open your mouth, it sounds louder. Uh,
okay. So going back to I think like yeah, this is the last topic now that we have, right? The
yeah,
the
well, we
last thing I
don't
want to
have to strictly follow it, but yeah,
no. I think this is a good like segue. So
yeah.
since I mentioned Instagram, so Facebook has been
Oh yeah.
the Facebook crash, right? Um,
Yeah.
I so here's the interesting thing. The when the Facebook crash happened, I didn't notice it through Facebook. I don't use Facebook, but WhatsApp was the one that was struggling,
Yeah, in Instagram as
right?
well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well,
But
I,
they're
I
all
didn't
the same
notice.
thing.
Yeah, I didn't notice Instagram was also like struggling. I just noticed WhatsApp was struggling,
I think
right?
Snapchat went down as well.
Yeah. So what exactly happened? Does anyone know? Do you know? Do I know?
No,
Who knows?
I think it's just a problem with servers or something. Because
Yeah,
Google had the same problem. Remember?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So it was. I chalked it up to like a server issue as well, right?
Yeah. Apparently, there were
And
some engineers testing something out. At least with the Google one, when Google stopped working and people went crazy and shit,
yeah,
the internet wasn't working. Yeah, that was literally just some engineers testing stuff out, and whoops, it didn't work. Let me just
so so it was amazing how like quickly people were saying like it's a hack, like there's some
nah,
sort of hack
nah,
that's going on,
nah.
right? and I was thinking like, okay, let's say they hack Facebook, right?
Can you
And
imagine?
there's, I mean, to be honest, like
To
if
be
they hack
fair,
Face, huh?
to be fair, Twitch got hacked, and all the information about like how much streamers were making and shit like that was leaked.
Yeah, but that
So
was, I never understood how people were getting upset about that.
I
You're
don't either. I don't understand.
yeah.
Like, I very seriously think that people should share how much they are making to avoid like differences in the workplace and shit like that.
I think that like when it got leaked and people were like losing their shit, going like, what, these major Twitch streamers that everyone like donates like $500 to or something
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that
they're
are
making a
making
lot
a
of
lot of
money.
money, right? Yeah,
What? And they
with
have
like,
ads.
yeah, yeah, and they're in some of those ads, right? I don't understand, right? I never understood that. But no, when Facebook got hacked, well, sorry, when Facebook went down and people thought it got hacked, right? What what do they expect to do? Just like they're gonna find out that, I don't know, my aunt has just discovered that like turmeric can cure COVID because Facebook is littered. It's the wild west of misinformation, right?
I think people post way too like private stuff everywhere,
Yeah,
and the biggest issue is more, I think, addiction, because people are addicted to social media nowadays. Like,
yeah,
you don't go take a shit without your phone, you know, that kind of stuff.
yeah.
So I think people are just headless chicken. If social media goes down, people just turn into headless chicken because they don't know what to do. Like, what do I do now? I can't see the pictures from my aunt. What? Oh my
It
god!
was it was bizarre though, because like the thing is, uh, could you imagine when COVID hit and social media went down? What kind of firestorm that would start?
Like at the same time.
Yeah,
Yeah, the government's doing
yeah. No, no, no.
it.
Yeah, at that point I'd be like, maybe, right?
Something else is going on. Yeah.
No, no, no. But like, it'd be a weird firestorm because there's no misinformation for you to read about. Like,
Honestly, if that happened, if social media went down, right, it crashed, and then COVID
yeah,
hit exactly at the same time on the same day,
yeah.
I think fucking Jonathan Karsh would come on and be like,
Okay,
let's put
gosh.
let's put 40 children in the middle of absolutely fucking nowhere with no adults and no supervision.
Okay, how do we get out of here? Okay, we need we need a signal. How'd you get a signal when you don't have signal?
How do we call people if we don't know their names?
Everyone has to go by like their Reddit name. Hey, it's Pacific Rim Job.
XX.
Yeah. Meanwhile, during all of this, like Mark Zuckerberg is having like an automated laugh.
Yeah, and talking to a fucking 3D tiger or something.
just fucking, just fucking boom shaka laka laka boom.
So, like, actually, that brings up the Facebook, like the Metaverse thing, right? Because he wanted to be like renamed as Meta. You know, Facebook is a Meta company now, or Meta brand, whatever. And he wanted to
Yeah,
make the Metaverse, which is like virtual reality or something. Why
with
did it make
Facebook.
something along those lines? Yeah, he wanted to make like on
Oh,
VR
yeah, yeah, yeah,
VR social media or something like
yeah,
that.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Uh, why did he make that announcement or that advert, whatever the fuck it was? He made it as a scripted interview. So the woman asks him like, "Oh, so what's this about?" And he's like, "It's very good. No, this is what." It was like
What's
a scripted interview is the most awkward, non-human thing you could ever do.
Yeah, yeah. It was like his scripted live stream. What's up, guys? I'm over here smoking meats, smoking meats. There was a picture of him with his wife in McDonald's,
That's so
right? There was a
strange.
there was a picture of him with his wife in McDonald's, yeah,
Yeah,
and like it was taken at an angle where he's like pointing at the menu, right?
yeah, yeah.
And someone on Reddit commented just him saying, "I'll have one McDonald's, please." like the guy is so out of loop with everything,
The thing is, in
right?
Saudi Arabia, that would work. They just buy the whole McDonald's.
Yeah,
Anyway, yeah, no, how can he sound so alien? Like even when he's
I
trying to be human.
so I watched the Social Network movie, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I was watching like Jesse Eisenberg like an interview
Really good
saying
movie,
like, yeah,
by the way. Really liked it.
yeah, I liked it too. But like he was saying like, like I watched like stuff from Mark Zuckerberg, like I really like studied his mannerisms and
Yeah,
stuff
yeah.
like that. I was like, that can't be true. That can't be true. Like he's so like socially inept and awkward and stuff like that in that
It's
movie.
so strange.
And now I realize that that could have been true, but now Mark Zuckerberg has got to do like a lot more public appearance and stuff like that, right?
Yeah,
And I think like the more cameras that are on you, or like the more like in-depth people look into you, they start noticing like cracks. So if you're already awkward and quiet,
yeah,
people are gonna be like, "Oh, he's acting really robotic," right?
yeah, yeah.
Who knows? The guy could probably be like he could be on the spectrum. I don't know,
I think
right?
he is. I think he is. But still, like, even when he has a script, he probably made the script himself as well.
It's like
Like,
that. It's like the
how?
Ajit. It's like the Ajit Pai reading mean tweets. Like
Yes.
like he got something like he got because the Ajit Pai reading mean tweets. They gave him some of the nicest mean tweets possible. Ajit Pai, I hate your hair. Well, thanks. I get it cut every Tuesday. I'm like, there's
Why?
someone.
Why would
There's
I come in my mouth?
yeah,
You know,
yeah, right.
good reference.
But it's like with Mark Zuckerberg, they're like, "How are you? I'm good, fellow human. How are you?"
Fellow human.
Yeah. You're fired?
He doesn't know how to incidents.
Yeah, he doesn't understand intonations.
He's just learning. He's learning. Yeah, no, I just want. That's all I wanted to mention. He's fucking weird, man. He's so alien
He's
to everything.
even to himself. I think I have a theory that they don't keep mirrors in his house because then he'll spook himself,
Oh,
right? Like, like what he'll do, what would happen is he'd walk past, and if he sees himself in the mirror, he'd turn around and be like, "Halt, intruder! Stop interrupting! Stop!" And then just short
Worcestershire.
circuit. Yeah. Boom, boom, boom,
Why?
boom.
Also, another thing, like, how pale is he? Does he change his skin every day or something?
I the
Holy.
pale part is like worrying like from a health point. The part that makes it scary is the fact that his eyes are always also like kind of bloodshot.
Oh yeah,
That
that's true.
yeah,
He just has a huge fucking screen on his computer with
he he
programs, and he's
looks
just like close as fuck all the time.
he looks like he's been holding in a cough since the inception of Facebook. Like like he can't. Like the worst thing to do in an interview, especially when you're like opposite the person, is
His
cough.
cough.
Because how do you can do the side turn away, right? But then in my mind, like let's say I like turn away and cough.
Yeah.
In my mind, I know that in their mind, they're gonna know that whichever hand I use to cover my mouth is now covered in my cough germs,
I'm
right?
not. I'm not gonna shake that hand. I'm not gonna shake
Yeah,
that hand.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Hey,
yeah, exactly,
producer!
right,
I'm not gonna shake that
right.
hand.
But then, but then you're not sure, like, so there's that, right? And then like I just think that Mark Zuckerberg took that fear to a whole other level where he's just refused to cough his entire existence.
Can you imagine? That'd be
Yeah,
pretty.
which is also which is
Pretty
which also
Zuckerbergy.
which also like explains his voice, to be honest, because he's kind of, but like when you're like trying to,
Just holding the cough.
yeah,
It's just a
that's
pile of coughs. The
yeah.
way he's gonna die is gonna cough all the coughs at the same time.
Oh, could you imagine just one day he just coughs, right? And he's like, "Well, I'm glad that's finally over. Jesus Christ! All right, guys, here's what we're gonna like." He talks completely normal,
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah. Hello there.
or maybe he's holding it in because his wife doesn't allow him. Like, she just doesn't have to cough. Like, Mark was such a lovely guy, but he annoyed me so much when he breathed. Just, it's, you got it.
I will never breathe for the rest of my life.
Yeah,
It starts
fucking
it starts looking like that meme where the guy is like looks like he's taking a shit. He's like really fucking concentrated on something. See them veins on the head and shit.
Or
Really
maybe,
intense.
maybe, yeah, maybe like his face looks really pale because like his wife treats him like a phone screen. So like you know how like if you get like smudges, you do the and then like you wipe it. She just does that to his face. She grabs it, just, and then just wipes it on her shirt, and that's
Yeah.
why he's always like.
This just
Bloodshot. He's
became
got hot air on his in his eyes. He's just got hot air on in his eyes, and he's just there like holding in a cough. Was looking pale as shit.
well, I mean,
He's the victim.
we had a roast session on Mark Zuckerberg. We talked about very grim stuff: death, suicide, beating the shit out of someone's mom, comedians, boxing. Yeah, I think we covered everything. To be
I
honest,
think I think you're ready for your exam, kid. I think
yeah,
we've covered all the key topics that you
we
need to pass.
we're hitting the 2 hour mark. So
You gotta give us credit for our dedication.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You know,
We could have called it quits an hour ago, but we chose to continue.
yeah, yeah. You know, this is dedication because like it might take us 4 months to even start the thing, but when we
But this is
do start the thing,
quality content.
quality content, yes. You
Yeah,
know,
and
fucking
it's nothing out of date. We're
no,
not
not at
talking.
all.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're not talking about like well, it's nothing too out of date. Too out of date. We're not talking about like I don't know the fall of the Twin Towers. We're talking about like very reasonable stuff, and we give you that whole like political fight club. Oh my god, the PFC. I'd watch it. I'd watch
Real
it.
PFC. Yeah,
Thank you.
I really want that to happen. 70-year-olds
Yeah,
fighting. Yeah,
yeah.
that's so.
United Nations, make it happen. Just-
Uh,
oh man, that'd be
yeah.
great.
Anyway, how do we end this?
All right, I've got this. It's so seamless they won't even notice. All right, bye. There we go.